Have you ever observed anything disorganized? When Tamar Braxton entered Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris's already unstable marriage, nobody was prepared for what would unfold. What started out as a private conversation devolved into a total mess that was recorded on camera, off camera, and online. Emotions are boiling, insiders are whispering, and fans are outraged. Insiders claim that it all started with a worry check-in. Tamar, who was never one to remain silent, reportedly saw that Yandy and Mendeecees' relationship was having issues. According to pals, Tamar believed she was being helpful. She was accused of interfering by some. But as soon as her name was connected to their union, the atmosphere shifted. With phones ringing and group conversations starting, a marriage that had endured public scrutiny, gossip, and stress from reality TV was suddenly facing its most combustible test to date. According to several locals, Tamar did more than just observe. She also spoke loudly when she did. When what was said behind closed doors was soon made public, Yandy was taken aback and Mendeecees became furious. Fans are shocked because no one expected Tamar to be the spark that started this particular fire. But once the first accusation was made, there was no turning back. Witnesses said that long-suppressed animosity finally surfaced, and it was played, voices were raised, and tears were shed. Mendeecees supposedly questioned everyone. Yandy questioned motives, Tamar questioned loyalty, and as the tension grew, the family split, with friends taking sides and viewers dissecting every rumor frame by frame. Was Tamar only trying to protect Yandy? Or was there something more going on? Was Yandy disregarding warning signs? Or was she defending her home at all costs? Were Mendeecees hiding anything that shouldn't have been visible? When the dust eventually settled, if at all, relationships were strained, trust was shattered, and nothing looked the same. And that was only the start. The events that followed not only destroyed a marriage but also a complete circle. Supporters questioned whether Tamar would ever be able to return because she had gone too far. When you hear what was said, who reacted, and how everything worked out, you will see why this drama is called absolute anarchy. Thus, remain where you are. Everything went apart that night. Instead of cries or shouts, there were chuckles. Not formally, with cameras rolling and glasses clinking in a dark living room. Fans can't help but imagine such an off-day gathering, even though they rarely see it. Yandy reclined on the couch, confident that her marriage had at last settled. Mendeecees was calm, cracking more jokes than normal, and trying hard to make things lighthearted. Then Tamar walked in, and before she even spoke, her famous aura filled the room. The mood was suddenly altered by the music. No one could quite pinpoint it, but everyone sensed it. Tamar gave Yandy a slightly tighter hug, kissed her cheek, and mumbled something, causing her smile to flicker for a few seconds before coming back. Viewers would then go over the video picture by frame and consider it to be the pivotal moment. Tamar took a seat, crossed her legs, and peered about as though she could make out words painted on the walls. She laughed out loud, spoke swiftly, and frequently professed her admiration for strong women who stood by their husbands. The statement seemed positive even with the louder tone. The first people to notice were those in attendance. He observed everything she did, and each time she talked, his jaw tightened. When Tamar eventually turned to face him and whispered, "I'm just glad Yandy knows her worth," the room fell silent. It was subtle, but it landed hard. With a wave of her hand, Yandy dismissed it, saying that everyone was worn out and overanalyzing the circumstances. But emotions were seething beneath the surface, poised to burst. As the evening went on, discussions divided into smaller groups. Tamar and Yandy were by themselves next to the kitchen, having an intense yet silent conversation. Tamar leaned in and said she had heard something, her eyes serious. Only fears, nothing material. She claimed to be speaking as a friend because she was a woman who had been betrayed in the past. Yandy's smile completely disappeared. She asked Tamar where the information came from. Tamar shrugged and said, "From people who care," which just made things worse. Yandy wasn't ready. This was not supposed to happen here, not in this way. She reminded Tamar that her marriage had endured public upheavals in the past, and that rumors were nothing new. But Tamar was not going to give up. Whispers, she said, did not disappear when they were dismissed. She claims that when women put harmony before the truth, they suffer. With every word, the tension between them grew like a cord about to break. On the opposite side of making jokes, he tried to go into the kitchen, but the energy stopped him. "We're just talking about women," Tamar said, immediately turning to face him. His voice changed in an instant. The comments felt like a slap, and he wondered why his name was so often brought up in conversations in which he was not allowed to take part. It wasn't the right time, so Yandy stepped in, which made him even more agitated. Voices grew louder, sharp enough to cut but not quite shout. This is the first time fans have seen Mendeecees lose his temper so quickly, and they are appalled. Mendeecees accused Tamar of unfairly stirring things up, but Tamar stated she didn't mind if the truth made him uncomfortable. His face hardened, his hands clenched, and he wanted to hear exactly what was being said about him. When Tamar finally spoke, it was just enough to make him suspicious. Neither names nor details. "The space blew apart," she said. "And there were issues with loyalty, late nights, and miscommunications. Sneaked into Yandy's stomach." Terrified and angry at the same time, she exclaimed at Tamar, "Why would you bring something into your home without any proof?" Tamar told her that silence had never protected anyone. Friends nearby were unsure whether to step in or back away. Some pulled out their phones while others prayed in secret. Mendeecees answered that this was rude and slapped his hand on the counter, saying that Tamar was attempting to attract attention by appearing nervous. At that point, the family was divided more by shock than by sides that had not yet been decided. Yandy finally spoke up, stating that her marriage was neither a plot device, a source of rumors, nor a topic for debate. Tamar laughed, but it sounded more defensive than humorous. Her eyes started to bubble up with tears, and for the first time that evening, the room fell silent as she reminded everyone of the difficulties in building stability. Then they knew that what they had just said could not be undone. Everyone was feeling strong emotions. For a moment, Tamar softened and said she just wanted to protect Yandy and had no intention of hurting her. Mendeecees approached Yandy and stood between the two women, saying, "This conversation is over." But the damage had already been done and protection now seemed like treachery. No one said the words out loud, but they lingered in the air. Tamar wasn't done though. "Ignoring issues can only make them worse in the future," she warned. Everyone was startled when Yandy gently but forcefully forced Tamar to go. Tamar halted, picked up her luggage, and said that she hoped Yandy would remember this moment when the truth finally came to light. The door behind her closed with a clang that lasted longer than it should have, and nobody moved or spoke. After Tamar left, the atmosphere felt heavy and the laughter from earlier seemed to emanate from someplace else. Mendeecees tried to convince Yandy that their connection had been misinterpreted by others, and that it was all inane. But doubt had already started to creep in. Yandy nodded, but her eyes drifted to the floor. Friends began to stealthily leave while feigning encouragement and embraces. When the house was nearly empty, Yandy finally answered the question she had been putting off, asking whether Mendeecees had told her anything. He hesitated briefly over the music, but it was adequate. Mendeecees quickly denied all of this, saying that Tamar was projecting her own past onto them. Yandy noticed that often people are more shocked by what isn't spoken than by what is. That night ended in silence rather than a settlement, and as she lay awake, Yandy recalled every look, every pause, and every word. He insisted that their marriage was strong, but the seed had already been sown. Mendeecees looked up at the ceiling, angry at Tamar and afraid of what might happen. Outside, phones were ringing with messages, rumors were beginning to take shape, and stories were being made before anyone could stop them. As the fallout spread, Tamar sat by herself somewhere else, confident that she had made the right choice. Even though this was only the first fracture, nobody had seen it yet. The calm in the face of something far more important, since they persist even after questions are asked. And what came next would test loyalty, love, and truth in ways for which none of them were ready. By daylight, the silence had given way to sound. Phones rang non-stop, and messages accumulated faster than they could be read. Yandy woke up with a constricted chest, and a headache that seemed worse than lack of sleep. The night had broken up in some way, but not enough to give rise to crazy speculation, neither names nor details. In an attempt to appear normal, Mendeecees poured coffee, cracked jokes, and pretended that nothing was stressful before breakfast. Yandy watched him closely, picking up on things she had missed before. She was ashamed of herself because she was worried about him, but she was even more humiliated because she was frightened about remaining. He looked away for a little too long, and when he laughed he sounded tense. He grumbled, already defensive, as she insisted on having a meaningful talk in a thick, quiet voice. He said that Tamar had no right to intervene, and that they kept their group small because they liked to see couples fall apart. Yandy listened, nodding gently, and crossed her arms before asking again if there was anything she didn't know. Mendeecees repeated his denial, but this time it sounded more like prepared music, and the guarantee did not land as it had in the past when the room grew chilly. The reactions outside their home were dividing people. Yandy's friends rallied around her, praising her courage and encouraging her to stay truthful despite the suffering, while others supported Mendeecees, claiming he had found peace by carrying out his duties. Discussions in the group turned into battlegrounds that split the family. One cousin accused Tamar of chasing clouds, while another stated she had the guts to speak up. Fans were shocked by how quickly allegiances shifted, but Tamar wasn't hiding. During her brief live appearance, she stated that she would never apologize for standing up for a woman without naming any specific people. Videos went viral in a couple of minutes. Her tone was powerful, her eyes were wet, and her voice faltered just enough to seem sincere. She believed that truth always manifests as betrayal before it manifests as freedom. Yandy attended the live event, and although some praised her bravery, others chastised her for intervening when she shouldn't have. The chaos continued. The charges were not as hurtful as that. She immediately contacted Tamar, but nobody answered. It was like salt in an open sore. Yandy felt exposed, as though her personal pain had been made public, and she wondered if Tamar truly cared or if this was how things would always turn out. Anger and sadness mixed together until she couldn't tell them apart. Later that day, Mendeecees left the house, saying he needed some solitude. Yandy couldn't stop thinking about that term even after the door was closed. Space felt dangerous at that moment. She sat alone on the couch, repeating every syllable while staring in the same spot where Tamar had sat the night before, remembering Remy Ma's confident voice. Space permitted unrestrained growth and conversation. Usually confidence came from knowledge. Yandy decided to start digging by nightfall since she wanted peace, and didn't want to reveal Mendeecees' dishonesty. She called a longtime friend who had always been honest despite difficult circumstances. The conversation was vague at first, but it quickly turned serious. After a brief pause, the friend revealed that she had heard similar murmurs months earlier, but she didn't want to add to Yandy's anxiety. When he arrived late that evening, Yandy confronted Mendeecees with the new information, proving that there were other concerns beside Remy Ma's. She nearly shattered when she heard that. Now that Mendeecees was in a precarious situation, his anger had given way to irritation. Despite her best attempts to remain calm, tears were flowing down her face and her voice was shaking as she said that she just wanted the truth and no excuses. He admitted that he should have ended the conversation sooner and that he had forgotten to mention a few. He insisted that nothing physical had happened, but the admission seemed like betrayal. Yandy's emotions were running high when she noticed that the picture was larger than she had expected. The fact that so many people seemed to know things about her life that she didn't, rather than him, was what embarrassed her. Attendees often expressed guilt and promised to be transparent in the future. Being honest was more important than just cheating. Fans have been amazed at how rapidly reports have changed. I apologize, but once trust broke destroyed, it sounded different. The partial admission was widely acknowledged. She said that she was heartbroken to see Yandy stand up for Mendeecees since she was aware of their suffering. Many now backed Remy Ma, saying that she could see what Yandy could not. Mendeecees was accused by others of fabricating information. Forgiveness felt far off, and the days that followed were tense. Yandy listened silently. Mendeecees put in more effort than ever before, cooking, chatting, and offering consolation. Yandy, on the other hand, requires clarity rather than merely effort, and she jumped whenever she received a notification. With every tap on the door, there seemed to be an impending revelation. The chaos had shifted rather than slowed down, and a new gossip surfaced just as everything seemed to be about to settle into an uncomfortable calm. One that, unexpectedly, was directly related to Tamar. A name was given, a schedule was questioned, and suddenly the story was about more than marriage, it was about who knew what when. The storm was far from over, and what came next would change everything they thought was real. It was more than just a murmur. They soon lost control and added voice notes, screenshots, and half-told stories. Online strangers started overlaying timelines and highlighting dates in red because they felt suddenly entitled to answers, and Yandy's assistant told her about it before she saw it for herself. A woman claimed that Tamar was responding to something she had already seen rather than just responding to rumors, and that she had known much more than she acknowledged. Yandy felt another shift in the ground beneath her, and instead of feeling angry at first, her first reaction was exhaustion. She was tired of being the last to know about her own life and hearing about it from other people. When she eventually looked at the texts, her hands trembled because the rumor's associated name was too well known. Someone who had spent time with their kids, joked with them and grinned in their home. The intensity of her feelings made her chest hurt, and when she confronted him and shouted louder than necessary, Mendeecees promptly denied it, saying that people were lying these days to gain attention. But Yandy noticed how specific the charges were. Locations, dates, and words that only insiders knew. "How does Tamar fit into all of this?" she asked. He retorted, Tamar had always held ideas and thought she was the most knowledgeable, but it didn't address the screenshots that were circulating online, which showed Tamar alerting someone weeks prior to that evening. The reaction outside their home was explosive. Fans were shocked by how quickly sympathy gave way to mistrust. Tamar was accused by others of orchestrating events for dramatic effect and of being penalized for trying to keep Yandy safe. Everyone had an opinion, there was no mercy, and legal action sprang from comment sections. Yandy's family became even more divided as relatives demanded explanations that she was unwilling to provide. Finally, Tamar spoke forward in a long, passionate speech, admitting that she had seen texts that terrified her. She said that she struggled with whether or not to speak up because she knew that doing so could destroy friendships, and that she didn't want to be interrupted or made public. But anarchy didn't care about intentions. Yandy started crying uncontrollably after reading the message on her own, and the internet examined every word, accusing her of lying by omission, backtracking, and hiding her face. The betrayal had several levels. There were still a lot of unresolved concerns. Why didn't Tamar immediately notify everyone if she knew more? Why did Mendeecees let things get to this point if they knew Tamar knew? She was angry with herself for not revealing her religion, and felt foolish for defending someone with such vigor. When Yandy finally went straight to Tamar, the conversation was uncensored. The gaps were too long, people's voices broke, and Tamar insisted that she was protecting Yandy from pain for which she was unprepared. The two women began to cry as Yandy remarked that it was dishonesty to offer safety without being truthful. Mendeecees were furious and defensive as they watched everything from the sidelines. They both felt misread. The bond that had previously been unbreakable was now irreversibly fragile. Regardless of the truth, he felt deceived and was positive that the narrative had turned him into a villain. But he secretly believed that his choices had made it possible. Despite the fact that nothing concrete had happened before, he had crossed emotional boundaries. Everyone was now paying the price. Another twist emerged when the woman at the heart of the rumor went live.